Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some source material that puts forward a massive theory about our hidden history. It claims there's this one powerful force that's been, pulling the strings on a global deception for thousands of years. We're talking connections between ancient empires, religious rules, and even our understanding of the solar system. So let's get into what this source is actually claiming.
So the heart of this whole thing, it all comes down to its interpretation of this mysterious power from the book of Revelation, something called Mystery Babylon. And according to this viewpoint, we're not talking about some ancient city that's long gone. No, they're saying it's a living, breathing spiritual system that's actively orchestrating a global deception right now.
Okay, so we're going to break this all down into 4 parts. First up, we'll look at who or what this Mystery Babylon is supposed to be. Then, we'll get into the things it's accused of doing. After that, a pretty wild claim about our solar system. And finally, we'll cover what the source says is the ultimate endgame.
All right, let's jump right into part 1. So the main argument here, the core claim from the source material, is that this Mystery Babylon isn't just some vague, abstract idea. Not at all. It's a real, physical institution right here on Earth, one that the source says has been hiding in plain sight for centuries.
So the source gets really specific here. It points the finger directly at the Roman papacy. The argument is that the papacy is the 5th and final power in a long line of empires that supposedly includes Babylon, Persia, Greece, and then pagan Rome. From this point of view, it's seen as the ultimate counterfeit spiritual system, one that's designed to put itself right between people and God.
So what's the evidence for such a huge claim? Well, the source points directly to historical documents from the papacy itself. Take this one, for example. It's a formal declaration, a papal bull from way back in 1302, and it's used as Exhibit A, basically, proof that the institution is claiming an authority that the source believes belongs only to God. And this really gets to the heart of the argument. What the source does is, it takes the papacy's own official titles and claims, things like Vicar of the Son of God or being essential for salvation, and it flips them on their head. From this perspective, these aren't just titles, they're seen as direct evidence that this is a counterfeit system trying to take God's place.
Okay, so from here the argument gets even bigger. The source claims that this power didn't just claim authority, it actually changed 2 of the most fundamental parts of Judeo-Christian belief. First, the day of worship, and second, the actual words of Scripture.
So let's look at that first allegation, changing the day of worship. The material lays it out as something that didn't happen overnight. It was this slow, gradual process over hundreds of years. It starts, they say, with Emperor Constantine making a law about a day of rest on Sunday, the day of the sun. Then a church council forbids resting on the Saturday Sabbath. And the source claims this all culminates in the year 538, when the papacy supposedly got the full power to make Sunday the official enforced doctrine.
Okay, the second claim is even more explosive. The source argues that the Masoretic text, which, is the foundation for most of our modern Old Testaments, was intentionally changed. They point to specific verses, like Isaiah 1:9. The claim is that the older Greek translation, the Septuagint, said Lord of Sabbath, but the later Masoretic text changed it to Lord of Hosts. And why would they do that? Well, the alleged reason was to erase or at least obscure the links between the Old Scriptures and what Jesus said about being the Lord of the Sabbath.
All right, and this is where the claims just explode in scale. We're moving from theology straight into cosmology. Because the source says the single biggest deception of all is modern astronomy. The argument is that the whole idea of the Earth revolving around the sun, the heliocentric model, isn't science. It's a carefully crafted lie with a hidden spiritual agenda.
So, according to this narrative, heliocentrism wasn't a discovery, it was a psyop, a psychological operation. The source claims it started with ancient sun worship and occult beliefs. Then it was pushed by the Jesuits as a way to weaken the Bible's authority during the Counter-Reformation. It even says the whole famous conflict with Galileo was basically stage theater, a choreographed debacle to control both sides. And it goes all the way to modern times, claiming that Einstein's theory of relativity was literally created to cover up experiments that were showing the Earth doesn't move.
Now, to back up such an incredible claim, the source zooms in on the scientists themselves. It highlights that many of these pioneers, we're talking Isaac Newton, Tycho Brahe, Galileo, were deeply into things like alchemy and astrology. So the argument is they weren't just objective scientists, they were occultists, and their science was just an extension of their mysticism. And the source claims this isn't just ancient history. It says that modern quantum mechanics is basically the same thing, just repackaged occultism and sorcery for the modern age.
So that leads to the big question, right? What's the point of all this? Why go through centuries of deception in religion and science? Well, according to the source, it's all heading somewhere. It's all building toward one final worldwide system.
And that endgame has a name. The source calls it the image of the beast. And this isn't just about countries forming an alliance. It's interpreted as a total merger of church and state power across the whole planet. Think of it like a new Holy Roman Empire, but this time it's global. And the number one goal of this final world order? According to the source, it's to enforce one single system of worship for the entire globe. The claim is that this system will demand your complete and total allegiance. And if you refuse to go along with it, well, you'll be branded an enemy. Not just an enemy of the state, but an enemy of this new global religion.
And that brings us to the end of this explainer. As we've seen, the source material weaves together prophecy, history, and science to create this incredible, all-encompassing story of a hidden power that's been shaping our world. It's a really complex worldview for sure, one that definitely challenges how we normally think about history and faith, leaving us with that one big question: is this an ancient deception finally being brought to light, or uniquely modern theory?